Alrighty. Receiving your content. Alrighty, it looks like we are live as well. Let's talk movies, Bumblebee. Yeah, I'm excited for this one. And I hope you guys watching as well. I'm currently joined by Dylan of Just Free Studios. Go ahead and say hi.
Hello.
And then Luke, the film fisher, he's here in the office right now. He's just in the back editing something soon. So as soon as he's done editing, he'll pop over here and give his thoughts. Hello, Jonathan. And yes, Batman is here. Welcome, you guys. And yes, Michael, hello. I'm excited to talk to you guys about this. Bumblebee is so amazing. Saw it yesterday. I saw it yesterday as well. Alexis, hi, hello. And I figured, if you guys aren't aware of what Let's Talk Movie is, it's kind of a podcast-style movie review that we're going to do a lot more of throughout 2019. But basically, it'll be kind of where we review movies, but in a very informal fashion, where we're just going to talk about it, basically. Like, no, pro-con list like we typically would do as a movie review. It's just a conversation, really. And it's live so that we can have this conversation with you guys. Sound about...
Plus full spoilers.
Yes, so let's... I have a spoiler tag, so if you've not seen it, go see it, come back to this, and let me just give kind of a spoiler-free review right now, and then we'll get into spoilers. And then we can discuss spoiler stuff in the chat, so, yeah. Anyway, but non-spoiler stuff, let me kick that off right here, is that, it's not a perfect movie, but, with that said, I really want to support this Transformers movie, because the things that it does are done so well in terms of just character, CGI, action, story. It's in the right direction. Is it perfect? No, but it's in the right direction, and I want to see more of that. So please go see Bumblebee if you haven't yet. Overall, I really did like it, and yeah, that's really all my spoiler-free stuff. Dylan, do you have anything spoiler-free to say?
No, that summed it up pretty well.
Alrighty, so then I'm going to pop the spoiler tag up. You have now been warned, and yeah, so spoilers going up. Cool. And I'll move this up here. That's a good spot for it. Cool. Okay, so now we're getting into the spoilers. So, yeah, where to start? So the first 5 minutes of this movie, which is the fall of Cybertron, it was incredible. That was what I've been wanting for 6 movies now, and we finally got it in Bumblebee. And it just made me so happy, because the first, even when we go to Bumblebee Landing, and the beginning part with John Cena, like, the first 10 minutes are awesome, and it's just really action-packed. Fall Cybertron, you could see the Autobots like, oh my gosh, Wheeljack, RC, Brawn getting his head blasted. Like, it was really just an awesome scene that felt true to what Cybertron and Transformers are. And that's what I really liked about it, because the Michael Bay, whenever it references Cybertron, especially The Last Knight, really messed with the history of Cybertron, but it felt very disconnected, where this, it felt like it took off from the G1, the classic kind of material in terms of what G1 is. If any of you watching have played the War for Cybertron or Fall of Cybertron games, it felt like it was part of that, which is what I really loved. Hello, Marvelous David, welcome to the chat. But I don't know, that just made me really happy.
Yeah, it was really well done too.
Mm-hmm. And, like, that was the one part of the movie where the action was very chaotic. But again, for the fall of Cybertron, it felt natural and really worked.
It needed to be chaotic.
Yeah, and it's the only time in the movie where I felt like there was a Transformer who was overpowered, and that was Optimus, so it's kind of justified. But that was Optimus Prime in his most true form, just rocking the single gun, blasting people, tearing apart Decepticons. It was awesome.
Exactly.
Now, here's where some of my complaints start to come from, is around the part with where you have Charlie's introduction to about maybe the middle of the film. I found her story very endearing, and I really did. The pacing and how it was executed, I felt was a little on the choppy side, in terms of, like, the pacing. It felt very fast, then slowed down, very fast, slowed down. But overall, her story interested me enough to where that was forgivable.
Exactly.
So, what did you think of that kind of first, let's say from, after the whole Bumblebee Starscream fight, which was awesome, Starscream, it really showed that he was powerful, because that was Starscream, right? I'm not wrong in that. If I'm wrong, correct me, but I'm pretty sure that is Starscream.
No, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Who just took Bee's voice.
Yeah,
One question I have is, where's Starscream the rest of the film?
that's true.
Blitzwing? Is that who that is? Because I'm not totally sure. I thought it was Starscream, but I could be wrong. If it's Blitzwing, that might make more sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. So from kind of that scene where Carly wakes up till, let's say, her seeing the beetle in the garage, basically. Or I guess outside the garage. Let's talk about that.
In like the junkyard area.
Yeah. So I really liked, because in Michael Bay, Blitzwing, okay, it was Blitzwing. Got it. That's cool. Okay, I'm cool with that. Still, I wonder where he was the rest of the movie, though. It's just a question that I have in the back of my mind. Travis Knight changed it to Blitzwing. Also, while we're on the note of Travis Knight, awesome director. Like, yeah, I just am totally on board with him now. But anyway, I digress. So with that part, the Michael Bay movies. Ooh, so one thing I have to say about them is that pretty much every female, maybe aside from Isabel in The Last Night, super over-sexualized. Like, to the point where it's like, she's a person. Come on, Michael. Like, but in this movie, Charlie, it almost, not in a distracting way, but it kind of go out of its way to be like, no, she's a normal girl, basically. She's not a sex icon. She's not anything that I feel would have been a part of a Michael Bay movie. She's just a normal teen, which
Exactly.
it reminded me of Sam in the 2007 Transformer movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, I don't know, it felt real. It felt grounded, which a lot of the people in the Transformer movies, aside from like Sam in that first movie, and I'd argue the third movie, they didn't feel a lot like real people.
That's true.
Like, Cade, I could kind of get, but he always seemed so action hero-y that there was a strong disconnect there. His daughter, there was a huge disconnect with in the fourth movie. And then in this movie, in Last Night, I couldn't really relate to any of the characters at all.
Yeah.
So, I thought Charlie was a great protagonist in terms of a human character, especially the storyline with her father.
Well, the storyline with her father, along with the storyline with her and her relationship with B as well.
Yeah, and kind of the symmetry there, which
Mm-hmm.
is what made that, I feel, ending scene with the diving feel so much more rewarding. That she would dive to kind of, for her father, it felt like. And then at the end, she would dive for B. I really did enjoy that symmetry there. But has any other Transformer movie had that kind of heart? Like,
Absolutely not.
I can't think of any moments where, like, the only thing that came maybe close would be in Transformer 3, Sam trying to fight for Carly, but even that, it was much more of a disconnect in terms of that was more, sorry if there are younger people in the audience, the power of boner, whereas this movie, it was the love between a father and a daughter, and kind of what happens when that love is disrupted.
Yep.
But yeah, so that, and the family dynamics at first, I wasn't totally into, but by the end, with the whole mom's boyfriend brother thing, it felt way more cohesive by the end.
Oh yeah, by the end. In the beginning, it was kind of questionable.
It felt very, cliche is not quite the right word, but almost like predictable.
Yeah.
In terms of like, yeah. But then the payoffs that it had later on, especially when the family went to help her, made it worthwhile.
Yeah.
Like
that was probably the least predictable part of the situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the fact that, because Sam's parents were crazy, okay? They were comic relief. These parents felt like real parents to me.
Well, and like, they were pissed, and like, and Charlie didn't like her stepdad either.
Yeah.
And like, he did something that ended up turning their relationship around.
Mm-hmm.
Which
yeah.
I think was beneficial.
Which, nothing like that I can think of happened in the original Transformers trilogy or 5 and 4. Like,
exactly.
That kind of depth. While again, Marvelous David, he kind of says the writing is passable. I can agree with that. It was better, though, than any of the other Transformer films. It wasn't perfect, though. And I had a few little nitpicks in terms of the writing, where I'd see something and I'd be like, that just wasn't as strong as it could have been. Like, maybe another month of writing could have really ironed that out, but overall, it was, again, better than all the other Transformer films.
Exactly.
Like, and this is me, I'm gonna get real nitpicky here for just a moment, because I want to address some of my gripes with the writing. But there are moments that are forgivable when they're there, but when you have a lot of them, they become more noticeable, is really what I'm talking about. And one of the ones that stuck out to me, there's some convenient things in terms of, like, how they decided to name things with the uncle. Just some name drops that, if there wasn't the existing lore, that it would be a huge jump in logic. Like, her naming Bumblebee, like, you sound like a bumblebee, I'm gonna call you Bumblebee. He doesn't really.
Yeah.
Like, there are some moments there. I'm gonna have a real nitpicky one, and I apologize. Was when she was working on the car. It was nitpicky enough that it stuck out to me. I'll say that. When she was working on the car, she came out and said, "Damn it." As a screenwriter, there are few to no good ways to have to direct an actress to say, "Damn it."
Yeah.
But, like, it just seemed, there are some real little moments that were like, okay, you didn't need to have that there. But again, overall, I felt the writing was good. There are just moments that were, like, questionable or convenient to the plot when they shouldn't have been.
It's true.
Again, with that said, though, I thought this writing was great. Let me take a moment. I feel like I've been ranting for a while. I'm going to go read through chat, make sure if anyone brought up something, I can kind of talk about it maybe. Bumblebee was goddamn fantastic. Revived my childhood from G. Yeah. Again, it felt... Okay, I'll talk about this later, but I just thought of something. But anyway, I agree with you there. It's much more in line with kind of what I try and do as trans crafters in terms of how I do my best to treat the source material, and it's always back to the original, G1. Because that's the classic stuff, and it had a lot of those great G1 moments. The character designs were amazing. Like, why has it taken us 6 films to get characters that look like this? Like, Optimus looked fantastic. Bumblebee, I recognized Cliffjumper immediately when he was on that planet because it was based off the classic designs. Even the 2 Transformers, the Decepticons, Blue and Red, if you guys know the names, let me know. But yeah, let's see. Pretty sure Starscream was on Cybertron in the first fight. It was a good movie, I agree with that. Let's see. That's probably a lot because Optimus in G1 mode. Yes, that was also a neat moment at the end on the San Francisco Bridge when you saw Bumblebee's Camaro next to the G1 Optimus vehicle mode. Yeah. Anyway. So cool when Bumblebee turned in the car in the first movie. Okay, I'm going to take this point to bring up one of my, it's not even a gripe, concerns with the movie. Because it doesn't say anything negative towards the movie, but towards more so Paramount and Hasbro. This movie, one of the things that I really noticed it did was it couldn't decide if it wanted to be a reboot or a prequel. So it constantly did both, it seemed like. Like the first Cybertron scene. And just the stuff with like how Optimus landed, and a lot of things in this movie spoke of reboot. Like, we're retelling this, we're retelling that. I mean, even retelling B landing on Earth. That happened in the first 2007 movie. There are a lot of moments that were very reboot-esque. There are also a lot of moments, though, that felt like setups for stuff that happened in the first Michael Bay trilogy. Like the Camaro at the very end. That had me a little bit confused and concerned. The Simmons call-out, that's kind of forgivable. Maybe they just want to use Simmons in a sequel, but still how they did it, and with Sector 7, seemed a little bit odd to me. And there are just a lot of things that I saw and was like, that feels like it's prequel setups for stuff that happened in the Michael Bay series. So my fear here is that Paramount had the following mindset. If the movie does really well, we'll have this be the start of a new Transformers franchise. However, if it doesn't, we'll claim that it's a prequel and we'll go back to the Michael Bay franchise. That's my fear. How true it is, it just kind of depends. But you have to keep in mind, Paramount and Hasbro. Hasbro is the toy making company. They have the license to all these things, and they make a lot of their money based off the toy sales. Paramount is production company who's very much so about money. Again, Transformers 3 made how much money? Like, it was up in, like, the number, at least top 10 for most financial whatever films when they first happened, I believe. Right, Dylan? Like, do you remember that? Okay, but anyway, the third Transformer movie, I remember it was, like, top 10, or maybe it got to number 1 most financially successful films as of at least the year it came out. Transformers 4, thanks to China, made a lot of money. If this movie doesn't make a lot of money, I fear that they could go back to the Michael Bay films. Because that's one thing Michael Bay does very well. To his credit, I don't know how much of credit it is, but it is worth noting. Michael Bay is very good at making money. He is. I mean, look at The Last Night. While the script wasn't great, he wrote around spectacle. In his mind, he was like, okay, I want this action sequence, this action sequence, and this action sequence. And the script was just moving it from point A, B, C, D, etc. And it made a crap ton of money. It wasn't great, but the amount of money that they made versus the production cost, like, he's able to turn around a lot of money, and he has a lot of characters on screen. It was one of my complaints with The Last Night is Crosshairs did nothing. Hound virtually did nothing. A lot of the Transformers did nothing, but they were there, which really boosts the toy sales. So, it's one thing that Michael Bay does well is that he can make money. So my fear is that if this movie doesn't make money, they'll say, well, why would we continue? Anyway, let me go back to chat. Let's see here. I'm going to turn the car from the first movie. Next to Optimus. Yep. The You Got the Touch moment was awesome. Dylan, did you get that?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that put a smile on my face. Because no Michael Bay movie had the balls to do that. You got the touch! Down, down, down. Let's see. I hope they do continue with it. I don't think they would call it Bumblebee. I hope they would make it just another Transformers movie, and Bumblebee's maybe just the headliner, or they continue at least in the story. I mean, Bumblebee and Optimus are both now on Earth. I mean, now they can start the Earth plot. They can have their base in the mountain like G1, which that was because the Ark crashed into the mountain, which I guess they aren't doing the Ark in this. But you could at least have them make a base in the side of a mountain. See, the little brother was great. Otis was his name, right?
I think so, yeah.
I remember, like, OT was the beginning of it. I don't remember how that name ended, but yeah. Again, he was one of those characters who at the beginning I was like, I'm not kind of sold. He seems like he's there for the sake of being there. By the end, it felt much better. The young Simmons cameo, yeah, that's another one of those. Can't tell if it's a reboot or a prequel moment. Whole thing, goopy. Okay, so my guess is why humans go goopy when the Decepticon would shoot them is because I feel like Travis Knight would have wanted it to explode in blood, but just because it's PG-13, they can't do that, so fine, goop. So if you imagine that the goop is really blood, which is what I did, and yeah. I feel totally good about that. Yeah. Cliffjumper's death was brutal, but it was also great. In the same way. In fact, yeah, I like Cliffjumper, but it showed that these Decepticons, they kill Autobots, which is perfect. It makes sense. And thank you for the names. So, the blue one is Dropkick, and Shatter is the red. Thank you. Okay. But yeah, so, just kind of continuing on, do we want to go just continue on in terms of the story? So yeah, after the B reveal, it was, at first, I wasn't totally sold on the B losing his memory thing.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of just a cheap writing move, if I'm being honest, like, just kind of plot convenience. He lost his voice, he lost his memory, oh no.
He lost everything.
Especially because I didn't feel that payoff. Like, you saw that memory coming back loading bar, but there was never a moment that I felt he went, boom, oh, I got my memories back. Now I can kick their ass. Like, there was never that moment. If that moment was there, it would feel a little bit better, but I feel like it wasn't set up nor paid off well enough to justify the losing his memory thing. It's just like, yeah, we don't want B to be as awesome as he was in the beginning, so let's kind of just make him seem like a lost puppy, which it kind of worked, but again, the setup and payoff didn't really sit well with me, so it kind of made that moment feel less memorable, I guess.
That's fair.
Like the hilarious when Bumblebee destroyed the house. Yes, and especially if he had his memory, there's no way that would have happened. He's a soldier. He's not going to just accident his way into destroying a house. I get it. But again, it's the elements surrounding that moment in terms of the character.
And, yeah, I mean, that shows his personality a little bit too now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so... but... in hindsight, I feel a little bit better about it. I still feel it could have been handled differently and maybe clear to the audience. And I also wonder if there's some stuff that was edited out in the actual final cut. That in terms of the director's cut, maybe Travis had more in there, and the, you know, Paramount being Paramount said, well, we're going to take this and we're going to cut out 20 minutes so that we could have more showings, which makes sense from a financial aspect.
They're like, oh, you want to make it 2.5 hours? Well, no, we need to cut it down to 2. Yeah,
so I could see that being in there, being a thing. So maybe in his version, there was more of that and more reward to those moments, but in the version that was theatrically released, it felt a little bit lackluster with his losing his memory. Pacing was still, I feel, a little wonky, but it became better as soon as B showed up. And they started doing their whole adventure stuff, I guess, with
their bonding.
Yeah, their bonding, basically, where she'd go to the garage every night. They'd, you know, he fixed the radio, or she fixed the radio for him. Another thing that just feels weird if it's a reboot, that's a very Michael Bay thing that was something that he kind of just coined, Bumblebee not having a voice and using the radio. So, again, that was another confusing thing, but I like how it was handled. It made sense. Especially bringing up the dad there.
Very true.
So, I felt that was overall good. What did you think of, I'm blanking on his name, it was Emo or Emmett, the neighbor guy?
The one,
I'm gonna look up his name.
The pretzel guy?
Yeah. I'm gonna look up his name right now. What did you think of his character?
I liked him being a quirky teenager. I liked that feeling from him.
Especially because, Memo, that's what it is. Especially because we haven't really gotten that, aside from Sam Witwicky in a Transformers movie. It's always these very, like, sexy action hero people. And Sam was really the only person who I was like, yeah, that's kind of a real person. This movie, everyone really felt like real people to me.
Exactly. And, like, they showed him getting shot down, like, multiple times, and then, like, finally he gets the chance to shine.
Yeah, it was one of those things where at first you're like, okay, this is a fun gag, let's see where they go with it. And I was legitimately shocked when he went to her door and legit just walked in and saw Bumblebee. But from that moment on, I think his character became a character and was like, oh, so that's your purpose in the film. Well, that makes sense.
Well, no, and then there's that one scene before he went into her garage where it looked like Bumblebee was screwing her.
Are you talking about with the light thing?
Mm-hmm. It just looked wrong.
But yeah, so anyway,
overall, I enjoyed his character a lot.
I thought it was decent. It was in the top 50% of Transformer human characters. I thought he wasn't bad. He could have been better, I feel, but he wasn't bad. He helped move the story along and was comedic relief without being annoying.
Exactly.
So, John Cena, my favorite scene from him was still that one at the beginning, where that training thing.
Definitely.
he, I think, was the good military guy. Like, and his character was very well set up. He's one of the few people in the Transformers movies where, like, yeah, I get why you hate Transformers now. It makes perfect sense. Like, Simmons never really made sense. The villains in 4 and 5 never made sense why they hated Transformers. Like, this is the first movie. Even, like, the government in the 3rd movie didn't really make sense why they hated Transformers so much. Like, this, it makes sense. It's personal. It's not it's not like a racist, get out of my country thing. It's a very much so like, no, he and this other Transformer, I don't know who's good or bad, they killed all my friends, basically, from a fight. Exactly. Like, I'm pissed about it. It made so much sense to me and was really well set up.
Well, plus his development.
By the end.
By the end, he realizes that B wasn't the bad guy.
Yeah. Again, there are some cheesy moments with the thank you. No. Thank you. Like, some weird line delivery and writing there. But again, I got what they were going for. Which is more than I could say with some of the other Transformer movies, where I was like, how high are you when you're writing this? That, I see what they're going for, at least. But, yeah. The family dynamic, again, was something I wasn't sold at first, but by that second half, especially when they kind of came to her rescue, I was happy with. Again, it's more than we've ever gotten in terms of a family that feels like a family.
They're human.
Yeah, they're human, which, again, the human storyline should be in a Transformers movie. You need to kind of really show that, because the humans are teaching the Transformers really what it means to be human. And we've gotten that, I think, the Sam Witwicky movies were the best at kind of showing that, but even they missed the mark occasionally. Cade was not great at all at being like, this is what humans are like. We drank all the beer. And yeah, that was a little bit rough, but it felt like a real human family. And this is the first time in a Transformers movie where I see executive producer Steven Spielberg, and I go, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Because, yeah, I don't know. It had more heart than any Transformers movie before it did. Which is the main thing that I feel confident saying about this. Oh, also, while I'm talking about stuff that I really liked, action CGI. This movie, I think, had the best CGI of any Transformers movie.
For sure.
Which, it makes sense. You have to do the CGI for 3 Transformers as opposed to 50.
Yeah.
It makes sense why they're better. Especially because you get the same amount of time to do it in. Like, it just makes sense. But they looked really good. I think the designs, the more G1 designs, less moving pieces, also contributed to that.
Yep.
But the action scenes not being quick cut, shooting at the camera, and you can really see the fighting. Because, again, another thing the film did great. You have really 3 Transformers in the majority of the movie. You have Bumblebee, who's yellow. You have, I gotta pull up the names again. You have Dropkick, who's blue, and Shatter, who's red. 3 very different colors. So when they're fighting, it's very easy to follow along who is who. Which is, again, because I'm a Transformers nerd, it's a problem that I never personally really had in the movies, but I know a lot of people who'd see it and be like, that's gray giant robot fighting slightly darker gray fighting robot. Like Optimus and Bumblebee, again, red and blue and yellow were the only ones that most people could really pick out. Which it just comes out in terms of the color theory for the film. And the color scheme. Which this movie's cinematography, I'm just going on a rant now, just ADD popping around. Cinematography is the first movie, it's the Transformers movie, where I was like, man, these shots look great.
Yeah. They look really good.
In the past, it's like, man, these are shots, or that's an explosion, or that's a little sexist. Those are the 3 places my brain would go looking at the cinematography for any of the other Transformer films.
Exactly.
This one I could go, especially some of the transformations, where I was like, oh wow, they made transforming look cool again. So let's continue reading chat. Yes, thank you for the con names. Let's see. So people are saying they saw Megatron. Cop car for the last few seconds. Yeah, I didn't see Megatron in the film, which again is something where I couldn't tell if that was prequel-ish because Megatron would be in Hoover Dam, or a reboot and they just didn't want to have to deal with him.
Yeah.
I could see it going either way. And again, maybe that was the intention. Paramount didn't want to make a decision so they could see how this performed at the box office. But yeah. Bumblebee's one of your favorite Autobots along with Optimus. Yep. It sound like he was on Earth. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I think I'm all caught up on chat. But anyway, yeah, and also in terms of the fighting. Oh, I just touched the webcam. I'm sorry. But also in terms of the fighting, there were some shots that looked really cool. And one of my favorites that was in one of the trailer was, it felt like Transformers The Ride, where Charlie was close to the camera, kind of running away, almost following the camera. And you saw Bumblebee and Dropkick in the background. And it was almost like they were moving closer and closer towards the camera. That was an awesome shot. And I would have loved to see more of that. Because that's just tension. Sequence. That's tension. And the fights, especially when you have this few Transformers, every fight you know the stakes. Whereas before, when it's just robot fighting robot, it's like, well, yeah, it's that. This, when Bumblebee was fighting Dropshot, he felt like an underdog. You knew that if he didn't win this fight, the whole Decepticon army was coming to Earth. And it's just a fist fight, basically. So there were legitimate stakes there. And then again, at the end with Shatter, when Bumblebee and Shatter were fighting, Shatter was fueled by rage. So Shatter was just kicking Bumblebee's ass. It's like there were actual motivations to the characters in terms of the fights.
Plus the chase sequence when the cop was chasing Bumblebee and Charlie.
Yeah, I thought that scene felt a little bit weird to me. But again, it was part of their bonding. So I kind of forgive it for that. But yeah, that's the majority of my thoughts there. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so. Just go see it.
Yeah. Well, then I'm just going to be right back. I'm going to go grab Luke. Dylan, maybe you can just stall for 10, 20 seconds while I go get Luke, and I'll be right back.
I'm stalling.
Alrighty. Here, hop on the stool here.
I'll hop on this stool.
And put on the headphones because Dylan's on Discord.
Well, no, I'm gonna go ahead and hop off, so it's alright.
Alrighty, sounds good. Well, later, Dylan. Thank you for joining us there. But anyway, Luke, we're just talking about Transformers Bumblebee right now. So let me adjust the mic a little bit for you. But what did you think of the film overall? Then we can go into more specifics.
Do you want me to give kind of my general thoughts before going into it, or?
Yeah, go ahead. And just so you know, spoilers tag is up, so you can talk about spoilers if you wanna.
Let me just say, like, my relationship with the film series of Transformers, not Transformers as a brand, is very but I was actually really optimistic going into this because of like one thing mainly, which was Michael Bay was not the director to work on this, and they had
I'll drink to that.
Let's all drink to that. But also just the fact that there was a multitude of different people that were not involved with the Transformers, the main Transformers films, working on this.
Yeah. And
there's just like a lot of people, like, for one, I like the director. It was weird. He's mainly known for animation. He's done Kubo no 2 Strings, and mainly works for the company that's made like stop motion films. But
which I think helped with the fight choreography.
Oh god, absolutely. That was a thing that definitely helped. I also really like Haley Steinfeld. She's done like her first role that she was ever in was fucking True Grit. So that kind of gives you an idea of how good she actually is. Like, and even in this,
yeah, especially when you realize she's acting to nothing. Like the goodbye scene.
Yeah,
near the San Francisco Bridge.
Just a big old fucking like nothing. In there.
Which partially again the music and the makeup really helped sell that for me, and the CGI. But that scene was one of the most like heart-filled scenes in Transformers.
Yes, and that brings me to my main point that I feel about this film. This was the first Transformers film that gave me the feeling of what Transformers really should be, not this overly cynical, gross, disgusting kind of like headache-inducing sort of stuff where like these characters are all like joking at each other, jabbing at each other, but not like in a fun way, more like a okay.
Yeah, no, I agree with this. Again, it is what Transformers should be. It's Haley Steinfeld was the whole movie teaching Bumblebee what it was like to be human.
Yeah, yeah.
And Shia, he had moments where he could do that.
Yeah.
But overall, that kind of got lost through the Michael Bay shit show.
Yeah, the Michael Bayisms of his characters.
Charlie, she felt like a real person. Her family felt like a real family, not two crazy parents.
Yeah, like it felt that was also one thing. Like their family felt genuine rather than just like with Shia's, where it's like the literal cartoonish like
they're just on crack.
They might as well be.
But yeah, so that again, I think that's really true what Transformers should be. It doesn't have to be the spectacle of explosions where you have 50 robots on screen to try and sell toys.
No.
It's really about making this one robot matter.
Yeah, it's like giving it depth and character. And that was also one thing, is like there was genuine depth and character in this that surprised me. And yeah, like just not only that, but also like the action sequences are one thing that I know is like a big comparison, which it really should be, because for one, okay, so Michael Bay has a style that I find incredibly fascinating, not because it's good, but because it's like a good way of learning film grammar. Every shot has been given like so much stylization and like importance to it that nothing actually matters when compressed into a whole.
Yeah, especially with those action sequences where every inch of the frame is just chaos.
Yes, and so you legit just kind of have to just check out because you can't really fully process anything. Whereas this, there were shots that lasted more than 5 frames.
Yep.
And, you know, they actually had like, you know, they kind of almost did I always go to just called the Spielberg oneer, where it's like multiple different like framing devices in just one shot.
Especially with the transformations. This film made transformations look cool again.
Yes.
In the way that the 2007 movie did, and hasn't really been done since.
Yeah, and for one, it's how it actually happens, and other ways it's kind of like how they shoot it, whereas in like the original, it's like fast cutting while it's transforming, so you're not really sure in what point it has actually transformed, whereas this lets it play out, and then it's like, oh, that's cool to see. And I mean, Michael Bay has at least if one thing he has is a good sense of like showing scale in terms of characters, but I feel like this one actually did it in a much more enjoyable
Bumblebee's
sense.
the size that he should be.
Yes.
He's not, able to hold a person in his hand. He's just 12 feet or roughly thereabouts, where he's just a bit bigger than a person.
Yeah, exactly.
The scaling felt perfect.
Yeah, and I mean, this film does have cheesy aspects, but it's in a good cheesy way. Like, freaking John Cena's character and, like, the whole, like, military base.
I like the training sequence part. That was my favorite John Cena scene.
That was fun. I love that. But yeah, like, stuff like that, and not, a dog humping another dog.
Jesus, yeah. Which, again, he's probably the first human in the Transformers franchise. I said this already, but I want to say to you, that I feel has a justified reason for hating the Transformers.
Exactly.
Like, they established it in a very good way. Like, that no other movie is like, they're gonna ruin this world, they're gonna bring war. It's personal in this movie.
Like, there's actual some motivation behind it rather than just, aliens are bad.
Yeah, it's like, well, that one and another one were in a fight and killed pretty much all my guys, all my friends.
Yeah, so that's some shit, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just like that. Another thing is just, characterization-wise, like, it's like you actually have some reason to care for your characters, and they are enjoyable.
Yep.
Not Shia LaBeouf.
Even Shia, though. Over the 3 movies, he built up a charm.
His
Cade freaking Yeager, on the other hand.
Oh, God. Okay, yeah, Cade Yeager. That's a better example. Cade fucking Mark Wahlbergers. was, oof, fucking Texas without an accent, motherfucker.
Yeah, The Last Night had a lot of human characters, none of which I could relate to.
No.
This one had a smaller group of human characters, all of which I could relate to.
Yeah, all of them are great. Yeah, and they're all interesting and fun, and that's the big thing. I had enjoyment. I had a sizable amount of fun watching this film, and it wasn't just from like ironic standpoint. Like, it was genuine like enjoyment.
Yeah, which. Another thing, going back to the fights that I enjoyed, kind of talk about color scheme. It's really easy to follow a fight when you have 3 robots, not 30.
Yeah.
One of them's red, another blue, another red, blue, yellow.
Yeah.
Like it, and the longer shots. The fights, like, there was geography to it.
Yeah, there was actually like a. I think you're working both geography and choreography.
That as well, yeah. But you could tell what's going on in every moment in terms of where they're at, who's hitting who, their stakes to it.
Yes, and yeah, like actually understanding the kind of the layout of everything in that moment.
Yeah.
And it's actually funny you bring up color scheme. One thing, I don't usually have this issue with action films, but it's more specifically Michael Bay films. Like, with the fast editing, there's also like this oversaturated, weird looking color grading to it. Whereas this is just like kind of muted, honestly, but it's like it's appealing to the eyes.
It fits with the 80s.
Yeah, it fits with that sort of like muted sort of color 80s soft lighting tone.
Yeah, but
yeah. And yeah, again, just didn't want my eyes to literally just die in front of me.
It's the first film where I've noticed music in a Transformers movie.
Yeah, I feel that I kind of have an issue with that. That's one of my issues. I just feel like some of the score is actually pretty fun, and some of the 80s songs that they choose are fun, but there's times where I just kind of feel like they did it for the sake of it's an 80s movie, so we gotta make sure everybody knows that. Everybody's gotta know.
That's fair.
And again, like, there's some points where my issue is like they don't really use it with the scene in a way that kind of like fits with like the rhythm or like tone.
I'd say aside from the goodbye scene.
Yes,
the score and the goodbye scene fit, and that was where I was like, oh wow, this is emotion.
Yeah,
there's emotion here.
Legit emotion. I mean, like, the more I think about it, in a way, it's basically just if you clamp together Iron Giant Shape of Water, but like, I still enjoyed it so much more than I thought I would. Like, even though I thought I would enjoy it regardless. Like. Yeah, because like when I was like, this will be fun, and then I had more than fun. I had like a great time watching it.
It wasn't perfect though. Some of my issues just came from pacing and then some weird writing moments.
Oh god, yeah, that's the biggest thing I had with this film. Is just there's characters that were like, just might as well have not been there. I mean, okay, so we are on spoilers, yeah.
Yeah,
so
we're on spoilers.
Sort of the character who was trying to be Charlie's like boyfriend or whatever is like trying to get to know her. And he's kind of pointless, but he's fun. He's a fun character.
And I think as soon as he sees Bumblebee, his character has more purpose as opposed to just gonna ask her out, shut down. Just ask her out, shut down.
Like a literal joke character.
Yeah, he had a little bit more purpose. He was, I think, the way that I think of him is comic relief without being annoying.
Exactly. Yeah. He was a fun comic relief character. One character I hadn't.
Okay, before we move on,
yes,
I liked that there wasn't a makeout session at the end.
I was so
going
glad.
to hold hands, and she's like, "Not yet." It's like,
not because
thank you. That feels better than anything the Michael Bay movies could have done. Instead of making out on Bumblebee.
Yeah, that was, like, and I was really glad that they did that, just because like, oh, that's a bit more, like, that seems more realistic, and also just because, like, to be honest, this film kind of makes it seem like a Bumblebee human relationship was going to happen at some point. I was like, can you do that?
Shape of Water did it. I mean, can this do that?
I mean, I'd be down. But like,
a very different Transformers movie.
This is okay. So I told my brother about this film, and there's a joke that I just even now realized. These past few years, we've been getting the trilogy of monster fucker movies. Because there was Shape of Water, there's this, we need just one more. And he told me that the new Godzilla film will be the ending of the trilogy.
My brain just went to that as well.
For one, fucking Sally Hawkins is in that. And I'm just like, I know where this is going. Please. But also the fact that, like, what's her name in the trailer? Freaking from Stranger Things. Millie Bobby Brown. There's, like, a scene, there's, like, we need to protect him. And, like, oh? Is this really happening? Anyways, I went off track.
Yeah.
Talking about monster fuckers.
But anyway, yeah, and then just there's a lot of nitpicks with the writing that I had, like little moments. Again, Haley Steinfeld, acting-wise, I thought she did really good overall. A few moments that were weird. Again, there's no good way to deliver the line, damn it.
Damn it.
But especially, like, there's a moment when she was under the car and came out and went, damn it. I was like, you could have put in at least 10% effort there.
That line was pretty awkward.
But there's moments like that throughout. There were sprinkled throughout, like, oh, that's a weird call. Oh, that's really convenient. Oh, that's an awkward line.
Yeah.
Again, better than all the other Transformers stuff.
Oh,
but I don't want that to be the excuse to say this was perfect.
No. I had one character that I feel he was more just in there for the sake of it's Transformers and this is kind of the thing now. But the scientist who was like, no, they're gonna help us, even and all that sort of thing. And I'm kind of other times I've been fine with it. This one was just sort of like.
And I think part of my problem with that was that I think he was trying to be a human antagonist, but we already have that with John Cena's character.
Yeah, exactly.
They just wanted the other side of the spectrum too, which got a little redundant there.
It did get pretty redundant because of that.
So it's like if they had another month of writing.
Yeah.
I feel they could have ironed some stuff out.
Yeah.
But it's better than the hour that the other films got to write their script in.
Fair point. The other issue was just, like, the stereotypical, like, bully characters that show up and they're just, like...
Yeah, that did annoy me a little bit.
Like, okay, they're there.
Especially hot, shirtless guy who went diving.
Yeah. Hey,
like, again, that was the moment where I was like, Michael Bay did produce this. I hope they were like, you can do this scene, but leave your hands away from everything else. And he's like, shirtless diving.
At least it wasn't a girl. Let's just say that.
Well, again, though, it's still that kind of reverse, like...
I guess,
It's still someone shirtless doing sexy stuff. Like...
Fair enough.
The moment when she spilled the lemonade on him and he took off his shirt, I was like, Michael Bay, you stay the fuck away from this.
Maybe I can do it the reverse and no one will criticize me for it.
But again, she felt like a real person, not a sexualized thing that Michael Bay would have done.
Yeah, like other characters. Well, I mean, considering in the movie she did just turn 18, so I mean, there's that.
Do you remember the Romeo and Juliet plot of the other films?
Oh my fucking god, I forgot.
You think that matters to Michael Bay? But again, like, her walking around the house in her pajamas and stuff. Just, like, loose-fitting clothes, like, the messy hair, like... Yeah, that's realistic.
Yeah, it's like, it's not... Again, the best we can describe is, like, commercial vibes, because, like, commercials do, like, the weird over-sexualization of things.
Yeah, and then bursting open cans of, beer.
Over someone's damaged car is, like, beers everywhere. Fucking...
But
Age of Extinction was, like, a weird film, now I think about it.
It was, but my overall thing is this. The movie wasn't perfect, but I really want to support it. Because I want to show Paramount this is the direction I want them to continue in.
Exactly.
Because my fear is they really went kind of halvesies, and it's like there are some reboot vibes in here, but there are also some prequel vibes.
Exactly.
And my mentality with it is that Paramount's going, okay, if it does really well, maybe we'll do a reboot with this. But if it flops financially, we'll save the prequel and go back to the Michael Bay stuff.
Gotcha, yeah.
And especially because Michael Bay, he's a master of making money.
He
basically.
is.
My fear is that if this movie does not financially do well, they'll say, well, screw it. We're going to go back to what makes money.
Yeah.
So I really hope this movie does financially well. This and Spider-Verse are the two movies I want to support with my wallet.
Yeah. And actually, I think, like, so far, it's actually been making its budget and advertising budget back.
And with Hasbro being attached to it, I hope the merch sells well. Because that's what Hasbro looks at, how our toy sales.
Yeah. Also, I just saw a post from Chris that said, E.T. reskin me movie. And now I think about it, it kind of is.
Mm.
Except the kid didn't want to, like, bang the alien.
But I liked the plot with her father.
Yeah,
that was nice, especially with the diving.
Yeah, it actually had like a setup that paid off in the end for emotional like
as well as
fulfillment. That that I love that.
Like I saw that and I was like, they're gonna pay it off. They're gonna pay it off, right? I have hope. This isn't Michael Bay. They're gonna pay that off, and they paid it off. Right as I was starting to lose hope.
Yeah,
because I was imagining just the whole ship hitting the wall and all that stuff. There's just water. Then you see out of the water. And Bumblebee comes walking out.
That would
was
be
my hope.
That would be wonderful. I'd love that.
But anyway, and we would have avoided the Shape of Water sequence if they'd done that.
Damn it! I mean, fuck.
Could you imagine her looking? You wouldn't have gotten the diving payoff. Is the only bummer there, because I'm glad they did that. Because as soon as the party scene happened, I was like, she's not going to dive, and then she'll have to dive later to save Bumblebee. And I'm so glad they did that.
Yeah. With
that said. It would have been, I would have loved to just, her looking over, Bee! And then you just see arm.
Like, just like that, like, long pause where she's like, no, he's gone. And
yeah.
Bing.
But anyway, overall, I thought the movie was good.
I loved it. I had a lot of fun. I had a good time. That's all that matters.
So, again, if you're watching this, please support Bumblebee. Buy Transformers toys. Go watch it a couple times with your family and friends. Show Paramount and Hasbro that you want more films like this if you enjoyed it.
Monster fuckers, watch this movie.
It's because they're not going to listen to reviews. We know that by this point.
That's a given, yeah.
This movie could have gone 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and they'd be like, well, what's the money, though?
Yeah.
They listen to the money, so please support this film with your wallet. That's what I got to say about that.
That's the best thing you could do with, like, really any movie. Just
yeah.
Because, I mean, most studios, that's kind of like how it works. It's... Not necessarily how well it is.
Well, A24, their money's in Oscars. Like,
that's
they melt down the Oscars and turn that into cash budget for their films.
Also, pretentious film student tiers as well.
Yeah, that's the other currency that they take.
Yeah, that's a lot of that.
But anyway, do you have anything else to add here?
I'm trying to think. I feel like there's like another thing.
I have one more while you're thinking of that.
Yes.
When I first started watching this movie, the first 15 minutes... Because, I don't know, I think I've told you this, but one of the films that I would have loved to make would be a Transformers movie.
Yeah.
And the first 15 minutes, I was like, wow, this is really good. I feel like I don't need to make one anymore. But by the end of the movie, I kind of changed my mind, and I feel like I want to make a Transformers movie now more than ever. Because there's things that I would have done this movie didn't.
Yeah.
And with that said, it shows that Paramount's now willing to take, more risks and not... go with some Michael Bay thing every time.
Yeah, take a new viewpoint of it.
Yeah, because I'd love to do a Transformers Cybertron movie.
Yeah.
Just all motion capture and no human story. The humans are basically the Transformers, and it's their characters throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, rather than just it wouldn't be focused on like a Earth planet-esque sort of thing with humans.
Yeah,
It'd just be
a movie about the fall of Cybertron.
That would cost buttloads of money, but probably. I'd be down for that.
It's basically an animated movie.
It might as well be. It'll be like that fucking weird thing with like Polar Express, where it's like it's animated, but it has elements of the live action in there.
Yeah, but anyway, so that's all I have to say there. So, Luke,
my big thing, the thing I love about this movie more than anything is just like. It takes the elements that were done badly of like the previous Transformers films and able to like rework them in a way that like makes it so much more enjoyable. Like the fact that it's cheesy as shit, but like in a fun way. Like the freaking like military base is like this goofy War Games looking kind of set, but it's so fun in that style and all that stuff. One other issue I kind of have is I feel like the villains were just sort of. Yeah.
The Decepticon villains or the human ones?
The Decepticon villains.
Okay. I don't mean to compare, but I think it's better than Decepticons have ever been in terms of motivation and character.
I keep forgetting, that's a good point.
Again, they were still fairly two-dimensional, which is one of the problems that I have with the current mindset of Decepticons is we're evil, so we'll do evil things. And it's very kind of blanket like that.
Yeah, like just sort of...
Again, something I would love to experiment with and do something different with if I were to direct a Transformers movie.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Paramount PM.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel it's better than the other Transformer movies. I agree though, it's still that very we're evil, we're gonna kill Bumblebee.
Yeah, but then and again, like you did mention, it's better than like Megatron was. Yeah, essentially just bad.
What was Megatron in the last night?
But fucking nowhere.
He was on screen, but it was like, I'm gonna do this now cause script, and I'm gonna do this now.
They broke my
script.
legs.
Yeah,
I'm a cripple.
and then even the what's her name Cybertron lady with the wand.
Okay, legit. I saw that last year in a theater, and I don't even remember who the fuck that was.
Like, it was her name starts with I think an A. I don't remember, but like
some sort of like
wanting to kill Unicron chick.
Oh yeah, I
Is this making you like Bumblebee more now?
I'm repressing so much of last night because last night actually gave me a full-on headache.
And you want to know something funny? I was talking with someone, and I know someone who liked the last night did not like Bumblebee.
What?
So those people exist. But anyway, moving along.
I know a couple of people also, and I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't understand at all. Anyways, yeah. I would highly recommend Bumblebee. It is like it's legit. Like it's a freaking massively budgeted blockbuster film that has like legitimate heart behind it and entertainment value.
Yeah.
And I would highly just see it. Just see it with fun. See it with friends. See it with friends. It's a good time.
And thank you, Travis Knight, for giving us something other than Michael Bay shaking keys.
Yes. Also, thank you for Travis Knight for not taking a career in rap and doing animation instead. Because, yeah, that was a thing as well. He was trying to be like a Vanilla Ice thing for a while. Someone showed me a video. I was like, wait, is this real? This is real. Holy shit.
Man, why did we not hear one of his songs then in Bumblebee?
Oh yeah, how like in the movie you just hear lyrics. Another name for Richard.
Charlie waking up, her alarm clock is just Travis Knight rapping.
Her alarm clock plays and the lyric is another name for Richard is Dick, so get off mine.
Anyway, anything else you have to say?
Nope. Bumblebee is a good movie, and you should watch it if you are good people. Thank you.
Yeah, support this to show Paramount what's up. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Please like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Again, in the comments below, let us know what you thought of Bumblebee. And we'll see you next time. More Let's Talk Movies coming 2019.
Yes, and more movie-related things coming soon.
Yep, so see you guys later.
Bye.